Okay, good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the topic meaning and steps of action research. Now, what do you mean by action research? Action research is a research which is concerned with school problems. Means in action research we conduct researches which is related to school problem first thing, and these researches will be carried out by the school personnel itself, and the purpose of doing action research is to improve the school practices. Means the teacher focuses on improvement in the school practices which are going on. Now, what are the learning objectives? The learning objectives of today's topic are write the meaning and definition of action research. The student will able to write the meaning and definition of action research. The second one is list characteristics of action research. The students will able to write the characteristics of action research. List steps of action research in proper sequence. Means they will able to write the action research steps in a proper sequence. Means after completing this topic you will able to prepare your action research accordingly to the sequence of steps. The student will be able to write research proposal for AR. AR is action research. Now, introduction. The same teacher teaches the whole class using same methods of teaching. Now, what they are saying, that a teacher teaches the whole class and the teacher is using the same method to teach each and every student that are present in the class. But different students understand to the different extent. Now, what they are saying, that the some students understand in a different way the same concept, and some students understand the same concept in a different way. There might be different reasons. There can be various reasons why this is happening. The action research is done in the context of the classroom problems. What we are saying, that action research focuses on the problems which are related to classrooms. In education, action research is primarily done to improve the activities related to teaching learning process. Means the main concern of action research is to improve the activities which are related to the teaching learning process. The problems may relate to any aspects of classroom instruction. During teaching, you may face problems which affect teaching learning process. Means when you will go in the actual settings of teaching learning process in the schools, you may face various problems related to the teaching learning process. The problems primarily may relate to time, situation, place where the teaching learning process is going, methods of teaching, which teaching method you are using, whether you are using a innovative method or the traditional methods, whose solution is to be find out. Means as a teacher you want the solutions of those problems, and the way to get the solutions of those problems is through action research. Now, for example, problem related to classroom discipline. That is again a problem which is related to school or the class where the teaching learning process is going on. English pronunciation. Students are not able to pronounce the word of English properly, or Hindi pronunciation. Profit and loss problems in mathematics. Difficulty in understanding concepts in different subjects. These can be various problems which a teacher face during the teaching learning process, and to get the solutions of these problems the teacher may conduct action research in the classrooms. In action research, the emphasis is on getting solution of the problem. Now, what is the emphasis where we are stressing? We are stressed on giving emphasis on getting a solution of the problem. For action research, the teacher or researcher may have problems related to any aspect of classroom and activity. It can be related to the classroom discipline, it can be related to the pronunciation, it can be related to understanding any concept in any subject. And activities are to be carried out systematically in a systematic manner to find solutions of a problem related to any aspect of classroom. Means any aspect of classroom which is can be solved with the help of action research. Now, definition of action research given by John Best and Khan. Action research is focused on the immediate application. Means the focus of action research is on the immediate application. Means the immediate solution of the problem, and not on the development of theory. We are focusing on the solution. We are trying to find out the solution of a problem, and not the development of a theory when we are talking about the action research. It has placed its emphasis on a real problem. Why real problem? Because the problem is related to the classroom with the teaching learning process. In a local setting, in a local classroom, its findings are to be evaluated in terms to local applicability. Now, why we are saying that? Because it is related to a particular class, not in terms of universal validity. Now, action research is systematic because it is carried out in a systematic manner, done by teachers. It can be done by the teachers or other individuals in an educational settings. Why they are doing the action research? So that to gather information about, they will able to get the information and subsequently improve the ways their particular educational settings operate, and by the solutions which they get, on the basis of their solutions they might improve their teaching learning process, the way their particular education settings operate, how they teach, and how well their students learn. Means other teaching, the solutions will improve the teaching learning process, how the students will learn better, what strategies will be applied by the teacher to make the teaching learning effective. This definition was given by Mills. Now, what are the different characteristics of action research? The first one is action research is a process. It is a process, it is a continuous process to get the solutions of the problem. In action research, different activities are carried out. Action research is systematic, means the action research will be done in a systematic manner. First, we have to identify the problem, then we have to collect the data related to it, then we will apply a statistical tool, and in the end we will get some solutions. Action research help in finding solutions of a problem encountered by the teacher. Now, who will try to find the solutions of a problem? It will be the teacher, because the teachers are facing the problems and the teacher itself find out the solutions. There is a possibility in bringing improvement in the situations. After applying those solutions in the teaching learning process, it will bring improvement in the situations of teaching learning. Action research aims at finding solutions to immediate problem, means the problem which the teachers are facing right now. Means if the teacher are facing the problem of discipline, then this is the immediate problem, and the teacher has to find out the solution of that problem. Methodology of action research is flexible, means the method which we will apply is not rigid, it is flexible, it can be changed according to the situations. Action research is self-evaluated. Last one is generalization is not the aim of action research. Why? Because the results or the solutions of the problem will be related to that particular classes. Now, steps of action research. Action research is to be carried out systematically in a systematic manner. So these are steps to be followed. So when we are doing action research, we have to be systematic. And when we are saying that action research is to be carried out in a systematic manner, we have to follow these steps. The first one is identification of problem. Second one is formulation of hypothesis. Third, method of research. Fourth, data collection, and fifth, data analysis. Now we will discuss each and every steps in detail. Now the first one is identification of problem. Now here you have to identify the problem which you are facing in the teaching learning process. It can be related to the discipline problem, it can be related to the pronunciation of school English language, or the pronunciation of Hindi language, it can be anything. So first we have to identify as a teacher or a researcher what is the problem. Now, the first one is, in this step, The researcher has to select or decide the variables related to which the action research is to be conducted. The research has to related to the select. The researcher has to what first select what is the problem and decide the variables. What are the variables? For example, I am saying that motivation will affect the teaching learning process. So the motivation and the teaching learning process are the variables. Motivation will affect the performance of the students or the achievement of the student. Then again the achievement and the motivations will become the variables. So we have to decide. First we have to select the problem, what is the basic problems, then we have to decide what are the variables which is affecting our problem. After selecting the variables, for example, I have selected motivation and achievement for my action research. The researcher has to write the title of action research, means now he has to frame the title on which he is going to do his research, and the title of the research will be related to the variables which the researcher has selected for his particular research. Lastly, the objectives of action research. Why you are doing this action research? You have to select some objectives, you have to frame some objective, some purpose should be there are to be written. Now the first step of action research is completed. First step of action research is completed because we have identified the problem. There are different sources of problem, means various sources of problems can be there. But in for conducting action research, the problem or variable must be related to the school context or teaching. Now what they are saying, that there are various sources of from which we can collect the problems, but when we are focusing on action research, when we are doing action research, the problem or the variable must be related to the school context or the teaching learning process which the teacher faces day to day in the classroom, which the problem which the teacher is facing in day to day classroom teaching. The teacher plays an important role in selecting the problem or variable, because the why the teacher is playing an important role, because the teacher is facing the problem and the teacher wants the solution of that particular problem. Now, the first one is statement of problem or title writing. Means after identifying the problem, after selecting the problem variables, what you have to write? You have to write the title. On what title you will do your research. After selecting the variables, you have selected the variables motivation and achievement. Statement of the problem is to be written. You have to write the statement on which you are going to do your action research. The title of action research is too narrow. From the title of action research, the reader must get information related to variables. Now that is important, that as a layman, I read your title, and after reading the title, I must have these information. The information related to the variables. What are the variables of your action research? Group, on which group you are doing your research, type of research, what is your type of research or method of research, which methodology will you adopt for your research. Title which does not give all three information is not appropriate, means the title should give the information related to variable, group, type of research or method of research which you are adopting for that particular research. If the title is not giving all these information, then we will say that this title is not appropriate, and we have to reframe again the title. Now, after deciding the title or writing the statement of the problem, we have to frame our objectives. Under identification of problem, means we have identified the problem. One must select the variables. We have selected the variables and write the title of action research. We have write a title of action research. Objective must be worded pinpointly. Now, what it means? That our objectives should be related with the topic. If I am focusing my action research on motivation and achievement, so my when I will write my objectives, it must focus on achievement and motivation. It cannot be focused on English pronunciation or Hindi pronunciation. so that the researcher or teacher gets direction. Why we are saying that objectives should be written? Because it will give a direction to the researcher, that in that direction I have to move. After reading objectives, the teacher or researcher will decide the sampling technique to be used for selecting the sample. Now, we have framed the title, we have decided the variables, we are writing the objectives, and after this, after writing the objectives, the teacher will decide the sampling technique. What will be the sampling technique? It will be a non-probability or it will be a probability. Now, techniques to be used for selecting the variable sample. Now, the objective will include the variables. Now, the objectives will include the variables, means the variables which we have selected for our action research should be included in what? Our objectives. Keeping in mind the nature of variables, whether it is a dependent variable or it is an independent variable, the teacher can decide the tool to be used for collecting data. Means after deciding that this is the nature of variable, I have to decide what tool will use. Now, what is a tool? Tool is a means of collecting some information. in other way in other words, sometimes the objectives are vaguely worded, which does not give clear direction to researcher. No, what they are saying, when we are framing our objectives, it should be in a clear form. If we frame the objectives in vaguely worded language, then it will not give direction to the researcher. Now, second one is formulation of hypothesis. Now, what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is related to the tentative solution of a problem. We think that this can be the solution of the problem. That is called a hypothesis. Another definition is hypothesis is the intelligent guess. Means we are guessing that this can be a solution about the solution of a problem. Since hypothesis is the intelligent guess or a tentative solution, means that can be a solution. I am not sure that this will be the solution, but I am just guessing that this can be a solution. So there must be a base. Without base, one cannot formulate hypothesis. Means a base should be there. On the basis of that base, we have to formulate the hypothesis. Now, what will be the base? The basis of formulation hypothesis are review of related literature. Now, the review of related literature means the researches which has been done previously on the same topic. So, a topic is related to motivation and achievement. So when I will frame hypothesis, I have to go through all the researches which has been done previously on the variables motivation and achievement. And theory, keeping these bases in mind, one can formulate hypothesis, either null hypothesis form or directional or alternative form. But mainly in the researches, we are using the null hypothesis. Now, methodology, the method which will be used by the teacher for conducting the research. Methodology, the researcher or teacher should give information about sample on which you will conduct your research. Tool, which tool will you use to collect the information? Experimental design, whether it will be a historical research, it will be a philosophical research, it will be a action research, what type of research it will be. When we are talking about the action research only, it will be experimental only. Then we have the choices of pre, post, quasi experimental, that we will discuss later on. Now, procedure of data collection, how will you collect the data analysis, what statistical technique you will use for analysis of the data. One should write the methodology expertly under different headings as given before, so that any researcher can follow the same steps if he want to do similar action research, as he also might be facing the similar problems in his class. Now you have to write your methodology in a proper way, so that another person who is facing similar problems in his classroom, then he can write his action research on the basis of the action research you have already done. Now, experimental design. Action research is experimental in nature. Why? Because we are doing an experiment to get the solution of the problem. For conducting experimental research, when we are conducting an experimental research, experimental design is a must. A design should be there on which we have to conduct a action research. Experimental design are classified into three categories such as pre-experimental design, quasi-experimental design, true experimental designs. In action research, pre-experimental design is used because the teacher conducts the research by taking his class students because she wants to find out the solution of encountered by her or him in the class. Now, what we are saying that when we are doing action research, we are using pre-experimental design for our action research. Why? Because the teacher wants the solution of a problem which he or she is encountered in the class during the teaching learning process. The finding of action research cannot be generalized because the group taken for action research may not represent the population. Now, what we are saying that the findings or the results which we will get from the action research cannot be generalized on the whole population because the sample which we have selected for our action research will not be the representative of the whole population. Generalization will only be there when the sample will be the representative of the whole population. Now, sample. Sample is the small representative portion of population. The means a small representative of a population. We cannot do a research on whole population. We have to select a representative proportion on which we can do our research, and that representative proportion of population is called a sample. These are different sampling techniques which are classified as non-probability sampling and probability sampling. Now, what they are saying that there are two ways of collecting a sample. The first one is non-probability sampling, and the second is probability sampling. Now, tool for collecting data, one must use appropriate tool. Means tool what? A way of collecting information. Now, for action research, we have to decide which type of tool will be appropriate for that particular research. The title we have selected our variables. Now, on the basis of that, we have to select an appropriate tool so that maximum number of information can be gathered. The quality of data depends on the quality of tool used. Means what type of information or what type of data you will collect depends on the tool which you are using. Different characteristics of tools are validity, reliability, objectivity, and usability. Now, what is validity? Means the tool which has been constructed, it measures what it claims to measure. Now, I have developed a tool. I have said that this test will measure intelligence of the learner. So, when I will call it's a valid test, when what it claims to measure, it measures. Now, what it claims to measure, it is claiming that it measures the intelligence of the students. So, if it is measuring the intelligence of the students only, then we will call as a valid test. First thing. Now, second one is reliability. Now, what is reliability? The results which I am getting from after the application of the test will be similar. For example, I have applied a test on you. After the application of the test, I will get some results. And after again applying the same test on you, I will get the some scores again. And if the scores which I am getting after application of the first test or after application of the same test again after a period of some time, then if there are similarity between the results, then I will call it is a reliable test. Now, objectivity means it should not be biased. The results will be Unbiased, the result should be unbiased. And usability means the test can be used again and again. Tool can be standardized and unstandardized. Now, what is standardized? A tool can be called a standardized when it has had validity, when it is reliable, when it has some norms and standards of scoring. If all these things are mentioned, then only we will call it is a standardized tool. Unstandardized tool, which does not has validity, reliability, no norms are fixed, no scoring procedure has been decided. Now, procedure of data collection. Now, how you will collect data? Data collection is a must in each and every research. Now, what they are saying, that data collection is the must, means to get the information, to get the solution, a researcher must collect a data. Research is incomplete in the absence of data. If you will not collect the data, then you will not get the solutions of the problem. The quality of research is a to great extent depends on the procedure of data collection. Means the quality of research depends on what? The procedure of data collection. How I collected my data. The procedure of data collection is systematic in nature. It should be done in a proper and sequence order. The researcher must write procedure of data collection. A researcher has to write that in this way I will collect my data. In minute details means each and everything should be clear while writing the procedure of data collection. You should give each and every information, minute to minute information should be shared by the researcher when he is going what will be the procedure of data collection, so that any person interested in conducting the same study can do so. What is that? If as a teacher I am facing the problem of discipline, and as a teacher another teacher is facing the same problem of discipline, then if I write each and everything in a systematic manner, then what will happen? That teacher who is facing the same problem which I am facing in my class, that person who is interested in conducting the same study can do so. So each and everything should be clearly mentioned in the procedure of data collection. By now, you must have understood that the findings of action research cannot be generalized. We have in previous slides we have studied that generalization cannot be possible. Why? Because that sample is not the representative of the population. Because the group on which action research is done does not represent the population to which the group belongs. Is it clear? Now, data analysis. Now we have collected the data, we have the information. Now we have to analyze that information, we have to analyze the data. The data can be analyzed with the help of t-test. Now what do you mean by t-test? T-test is a test where we compare two variables. So in comparing the two variables, you can use the t-test. So for action research, for the analysis of action research, we can do the analysis with the help of t-test. It can be done with the help of SPSS package or Excel. Means you can calculate the t-test with the help of SPSS or Excel. These two are the packages of statistical tool which a researcher can apply while doing his analysis. Now, format for writing research proposal of action research. You have done your research. You have done your research in a proper manner. But now the last thing which you have to do is to write the proposal, and it should be right in a proper format. Now, research proposal of action research in education should consist of following major aspects. When you are going to write a research proposal, it should be following major aspects, means it should consider these following dimensions. Now, first one is title of the research study, means on which you have done your research. The statement on which you have done your research should be written in the research proposal. What is that? Give suitable title. You have to give a suitable title for your research with minimum required terms in it. Means it should be narrow, it should be specific, that on that topic I am doing my research. Title should not be lengthy, it should not be lengthy. It should tell what the researchers intend to do. It should not be lengthy, means it should be precise. It should be in a short form. It should be in a narrow format, but it should give a clear perspective what a researcher is going to do in his research. It should tell what the researchers intended to do. Mean what is the purpose why you are doing that particular research. Preferably, it should contain variables, the variables which you have selected for your research. It should be mentioned in the title of the research study. Method, which method you have applied for your research, and sample or group on which sample on which you have conducted your research. Now, title of the research study has the following points. First, introduction oblique background, purpose, need of the study, review of related research and literature on the study topic. Next, objectives of the study. Last one is hypothesis of the study. Now we will discuss each and every point in detail. Now the second one is research design. When you are writing your proposal, the second step was related to the research design. It will cover research method. Which research method will you apply? Second, sample from which you will collect the sample. Tool for data collection, which tools you will apply for collecting the data. Statistical technique for data analysis, which statistical technique you will apply for analysis of the data. It can be mean, it can be percentage, it can be a t-test, it can be ANOVA or ANCOVA. Any statistical technique you can apply for the analysis of the data. Now the last one is procedure steps for conducting research. What procedure you have selected for conducting your research, and in the end you have to write or mention the bibliography, means the references. Now, following subsections describe each points in nutshell. Now, the first one is introduction. Write about two paragraphs introducing the problem area. Means in introduction, we have to write two paragraphs, and that paragraphs are related to in which we have to introduce the problem area. What is the problem area on which the researcher is going to do his research? For example, if I am doing my research related to the discipline problem in my class. Now, in introduction part, in two paragraphs, I have to define what is in disciplinary activities which are going in my class during the teaching learning process. Now I am introducing the problem area, that the problem of area is discipline. You may also provide some references of research already done in the area which motivated you to take up this study. Now, what they are saying in the introduction part, you can also refer some researches which have already been done in the area of discipline. And these researches which you have read motivated you to take up this study. Purpose, need of the study, what is the objective behind doing this study, why you are doing this study. Explain the purpose and or needs for conducting such a study in about two paragraphs. Now we have to define that these are the objectives, these are the purposes, these are the needs of the study. Because of this I am conducting my research. You have to be clear as a researcher that these are my objectives. If you will frame your objectives in a proper manner, then you will not face any problem in your action research. But if you have not framed your objectives in a proper manner, you will not able to find the correct direction for conducting the research. Now, explain the purpose and or need for conducting the purpose of or the need of conducting that particular research. Such a study in about 2 paragraphs. You have to write the purpose or need of the study in 2 paragraphs. It should bring out the need to bridge the gap between the existing researches. Now you have gone through different researches which has been done earlier also, but your research should be like that. It The need to bridge the gap between the existing researches means it should be work as a bridge between the researches which has already been done. Now, explanation of terms. Major areas suggested in your research topic. Now, explanation of terms. For example, if I have chosen my title of the research related to motivation and achievement, I have to explain what I mean by motivation. I have to explain what I mean by achievement. If I am doing my research on pronunciation problem in English language, then first I have to define what do you mean by the pronunciation problems, what do you mean by English language. Means the major terms which you are using in your title should be clearly stated here. Now explain the major topics, subtopics in the research areas. Example, if the research title is gender differences in online learning. Now, if I am conducting my research on gender differences in online learning, now I have to explain what is online learning. I have to explain what is online learning. You may give definitions, types, sub areas of studies, etc. And you have to define each and every term which you have used in your title. You may also have some literature review here about online learning. Means some researches will are conducted in online learning. Also discuss about gender issues. The second term which you will have to focus on that is the gender issues relevant to learning, computer mediated learning and online learning which are addressed, which you are talking about. All these things should be explained by you as a researcher in explanation of terms. Now, next one is review of related literature and literature on the study topic. Means you have to read all the researches which have been previously done on the same topic, or the for example, I saying that I will do my action research on motivation and achievement, then I have to go through all the researches which has been done by different researchers on the same topic, or the topic related to my action research. In this section, take a stock of research studies conducted in the similar or related area. Similar uh, will be related to motivation and achievement, and related areas can be how motivation is affecting the teaching learning process, why motivation is necessary in teaching learning process. These can be the related areas. This type of research is not exactly the same research on which I am conducting the research, but these are the related areas. Now, in the above examples, studies in online learning, studies in gender differences in computer related learning, or gender issues in learning will form the related research. In the previous examples which I have taken in the previous slide, they are saying that when we are talking about the review of related literature, we can focus on studies in online learning. What are the different studies done in the online learning? Studies in gender differences. What are the studies done in the area of gender differences? In computer related learning, or gender issues in learning from the related research. Studies in face to face may not be a part of it. Why face to face cannot be part of it? Because we are focusing on online learning. But studies in gender differences in face to face mode will be a part of the related research. Now, what they are saying, ki when we are trying to read the review of related literature, related to a problem, then studies in face to face may not be a part of it. Why? Because we are not focusing on face to face teaching learning process, we are focusing on a research on online learning. But studies in gender differences in face to face mode will be a part of the related research, because the gender differences, which the issues related to gender differences, can be a part of a review of related literature. While writing this section, while you are writing the review of related literature, remember that it is a review and not mere listing of researches. Identify the trends if possible. Now, trends in if possible, what it means, that what are the researches done in that area in that particular period. Now, what again the trend has been changed means, first, if I will try to explain in this way, that gender differences in face to face teaching has been there. Now, gender differences in online learning, so this is a trend which has been changed. Now, objectives of the study. Specify journal as well as specific objectives of the study. Means you have to define that these are my objectives. Use terms such as to find out, that after conducting the research, I will able to find out this. To study, to study the impact of motivation on learning. To identify the factors which are influencing the learning of the learner. To compare uh, a class without achievement of student without giving the motivation to him. To suggest what can be the means of giving motivation to the learners. Remember, the steps in procedures of conducted the study are not objective. No, what this is important. The steps and procedure of conducting the study are not objective. That this procedure I will follow to conduct the research is not objective. What is the purpose of doing that particular research is my objective. For example, to prepare a questionnaire for data collection. Questionnaire, a set of questions will be there, a number of questions will be there, and on the basis of that questions, you will able to find, collect the data, collect the information. A questionnaire for data collection is a procedural step and not an objective. Now, preparation of a questionnaire or to get the information from a questionnaire is a step from which you will collect the data, but it is not an objective, that my objective of the research is to prepare a questionnaire. No, questionnaire is just a tool of collecting the data. To compare the scholastic achievement of boys and girls is an objective. Now, this can be a objective, that I want to make a comparison how the achievement of boys and girls are differ from each other. Now, hypothesis of the study, if any. If you have framed hypothesis for your study, then prepare hypothesis on the basis of the previous research studies in the area. Means on the basis of researches which has been done previously, on the basis of those research you will prepare your hypothesis. For example, there will be a significant difference in the achievement of boys and girls. This can be a hypothesis where you want to find out whether there is a significant difference in the achievement of boys or girls or not. Could be one of your hypothesis. This is a positive hypothesis. In order to test this hypothesis statistically, you may like to convert this into a null hypothesis. Null hypothesis, when we are not biased, the results can be in this side or it can be in that side. All there will be no significant difference in the achievement of boys and girls when we are framing this type of hypothesis. But I am not sure that whose achievement will be better, boys or girls. Or hypothesis need to be converted to null hypothesis, because as a researcher I cannot be biased while doing my research. Now, research design. Write about methods of research available to the researcher. What are the different methods available for my research? Specify which method you are selected for the present study, which method you have selected for your present study. Give rationale for selecting that method, why you have selected that method. You have to be specifically told that this is the reason why I'm selecting this method. Tools for data collection, how the researchers intended to collect data, means you have to uh, prepare that this is the tool with the help of which I will collect the data. Which tool will be developed by the researcher? Which tools will be developed by the researcher for collecting the data? Which standardized tool will be selected by the researcher? Which standardized tool which is already exists will be used by the researcher to collect the data? Give rationale for using particular tools. Now you have to give reason why you are selecting these tools. Means if you have selected a standardized tools, you have to give reason that because of these reasons I have selected this tool for my research. Now it should be based on the objectives which you have framed. If that particular tool is helping you to get the solutions of your problem, then select that tool. If it is not, then prepare your own tool. Give rationale for using particular tools. Example, questionnaire, interview. It can be a face-to-face interview or online interview. Observation schedule, where you will go in a class and observe. Inventories can be another way of collecting the data. Now, statistical techniques for data analysis, means different statistical techniques can be employed by the researcher for the analysis of the data. Specify which statistical tool will be used. State which description statistics such as percentage, whether you will use a statistics such as percentage for analysis, mean, standard deviation, median, percentile, rank, etc. These all are the statistical tool which you can apply for the analysis of the data. Will be used which inferential statistics such as t ratio, means t-test can be applied. Analysis of variables, variance, analysis of covariance will be used. Now in t-test we make a comparison between two variables. When there are more than two variables, then analysis of variance will be done, and analysis of covariance will be done when we say some variables are when, for example, I am doing my research on personality, creativity and intelligence, how they are affecting my achievements. Okay, when I just first I will compare the intelligence and motivation effect on learning. Then I am converting intelligence and objectives on the effect of learning. Then means I am if nullifying the effect of intelligence at one time, effect of motivation another time. That type of analysis statistics or the techniques is called an ANCOVA, or the analysis of covariance. Now procedure steps for conducting research. Describe all the procedure steps in conducting research study. uh, Last one is bibliography. Now what is a bibliography? This is a very important aspect of any research study. This is a very important aspect or dimension of any research study. It is included at the end of the proposal. It has to be written at the end. Every reference made in the main body of the text must be included in the bibliography. Any reference which you have used should be included in the bibliography. Bibliography include books. You have to mention from these books I have selected the data, or the I have taken some text, chapters in edited books, journals articles, if you refer some journal articles, newspaper articles, unpublished thesis which has not been published yet, dissertations, means all the things from which you have collected some information should be mentioned in the bibliography. Now these are some references related to this topic. For further readings, you may go on these references and study. Now, last one is MCQs. Now, I will ask some MCQs related to the topic which we have discussed today. Now, the first one is the action research is done in the context of dash problems. The first one is classroom. B. Subject, C. School, D. Playground. Now the correct answer is classroom. B. Second one is education dash is primarily done to improve the activities related to the teaching learning process. So the correct answer will be option A, action research, B, research, C, science, D, historical research. So the correct answer is education. Action research is primarily done to improve the activities related to the teaching learning process. Now the third one, in action research, the emphasis is on getting dash of the problem. A, solution, B, problem, C, objectives, D, learning. So action research emphasize on getting the solution of the problem. So A will be the correct answer. Fourth one, who stated action research is systematic inquiry done by teachers or other individuals in educational settings to gather information about and subsequently improve the way their particular education settings operate, how they teach, and how well their students learn. This definition is given by Mills, B. Johnson, C. Jackson, or D. Crow and Crow. So the correct answer is A. This definition was given by Mills. The fifth one, dash is included at the end of the proposal. A. Introduction, B. Review, C. Bibliography, or D. Hypothesis. What should be included at the end of the proposal? It is bibliography. So the correct answer is C. Prepare hypothesis on the basis of the dash research studies done in the area. Previous, current, recent, or large. So we have to prepare hypothesis on the basis of previous research studies. Now, seventh one, who stated that action research is focused on the immediate application and not on the development of theory. It has placed its emphasis on a real problem in local settings. Its findings are to be evaluated in terms of local applicability, not in terms of universal validity. So the options are John Best and Khan, B. Bacon, C. Jackson, or D. Piaget. So the correct answer is A. John Best and Khan. Eighth one, in dash step, the researcher has to first select or decide the variable related to which the action research is to be conducted. First, identification of problem, B, review, C, hypothesis, D, statistical tool. So the correct answer is A, means in review step. Now the ninth one, dash is the tentative solution of the problem. A, hypothesis, B, objectives, C, review, or D, references. So the correct answer is hypothesis is the tentative solution of the problem. Now the 10th one, dash is the small representative proportion of the population. Now is the small representative proportion of the population. Option A, sample, B, population, C, group, or D, none of the above given choices. So the correct answer is sample. So thank you so much students for patience listening. Now we will meet in the next class. Thank you so much.